Alright, hello and welcome. So today's video is combined again. This is both the Devstream breakdown and the Baro breakdown, with the Devstream, of course, being first. The Devstream today, it is worth noting, was cut short by a fire alarm, so there are some incomplete notes here, as the devs did not get to finish, as much as I really wish they had been able to finish the section that they were on. With that, this is going to be quite short, so let's just get started. First and foremost, they talked about the unvaulting. For those of you that are not aware, I threw this in here. The unvaulting is going to be Loki, Frost, and Ember, and there's going to be a combined pack with Loki and Ember in like a bundle for cheaper or whatever for those that are interested in getting that, and that'll be coming in February. Then the damage 2.5 stuff. So the devs were very responsive to the feedback that everyone was not very happy with what they were going to try and do to damage. So that dev workshop is now completely and totally moot, and they ain't doing that. And instead, they said that there will be more radical changes instead of tweaks. That is... how do I put this? Let's call that worrying to me. Just given the dev workshop for damage 2.5 that we saw, and obviously I did my breakdown of that dev workshop, I'm very worried about how that will go, but there's nothing technically to worry about yet, so I'll save that for later. With that, Korra is being reworked out of dependence on damage types so that she will not have to depend on those new damage types that they were working on in order to be good or whatnot. I hope that bodes well for Korra, and if anything, I think that that has a significant chance of making her a better frame overall, to be not so reliant on base damage types in the game being good. So we'll see how that goes. I have high hopes for Korra still. Besides that, we got the Mesa Deluxe, which is pretty nice outside of the helmet. So the longer I look at this, the more I really hope that the Tenogen helmets fit very well on it. Because otherwise, I can't see myself using this skin that much. But it does look pretty nice. It's alright. It's not very Mesa, is the weird thing. Like, this looks more like a completely original frame design that has nothing to do with Mesa than Mesa. So, we'll see how it looks when it comes out. But, like, it's just alright. Like, I could maybe. Like, if you don't have access to Tenogen, I could see being very excited for this. But Tenogen for Mesa is just so good as it stands right now. That for me is a little bit more difficult, even though Mesa is my favorite Warframe. So that's fine. And on the topic of Tenogen, we're getting the first round of the new batch next week. Please, I hope that is the Inaro's Tenogen. Please, I need it. But we had no word on exactly what is going to be in that first round. Then they talked about a Zephyr rework with absolutely no specifics, but obviously Zephyr is getting reworked. She's almost certainly the next Prime Warframe, so it would only follow that she would get a rework because she is terrible right now. And we saw a vehicle. So the response to this on stream was like really good from what I saw in the chat. People seem to be excited for it. And these are the Grineer like single man ships that fly over Cetus and stuff. You know, the really annoying ones that you shoot and then the guy falls out and then you shoot him on the way down and he does that really nice like Wilhelm scream. Yeah, those guys, those things. We're going to be able to steal those and fly those around. So what I get from that personally is, if y'all remember a few dev streams ago, they were talking about spider tanks. So that's the spider tanks, those things, this concept art, that's fucking dope. And we know that we're going to be getting a new open world area, and this seems like more of a test case to get the tech up and running for us to be able to drive spider tanks around in the next open world. That's just what I got out of seeing them do this, as it is basically just like a system that looks to be like branched out of Arcwing, and it's just making the tech work. But that's just me. I got no like real evidence to back that up. But I'm just saying that could be a thing that happens. And then finally, the part that they unfortunately got interrupted during was the augments. So we know that Nidus, Titania, Harrow, and Equinox are all getting augments, but we only saw Nidus's, and we didn't even really see the full breadth of it, and they didn't even really get to explain exactly what's going to be going on with that. But what they did say is that basically his 2 it's getting an augment where you can hit your 2 again to make it explode and give a viral proc and do some damage to the enemies that are in it. That is potentially useful. But I think it relies a lot on if this can kill enemies and build stacks for you. If it can't, it's going to be a really, really hard sell, I think. But regardless, there is actually one specific case where this augment would be quite useful, and that is for farming Vodyanoi with a constructed group, as Nidus is usually the one that gathers all the enemies up, and it would mean that he can pop his larva before enemies die, which would mean that you can gather enemies more quickly in that one specific case. And if there were any future specific cases where Nidus would be the one that you want to gather enemies, obviously, it would be appropriate for that as well. So it's going to be probably a pretty niche mod, but if it can build stacks by killing enemies at low levels, this definitely has the potential to be a good stack building mechanism for him. And I very much hope that that is the case. So with that, that is all we unfortunately got on the Devstream breakdown. I'm very excited to see Titania, Hero, and Equinox's augments, although I think I know which one Equinox is getting. There was one that we saw that was her 4. It was basically for Mend, and it made it so that her 4 would build up the healing number, and then whenever anything around you needed healing, it would just give it to them. Which, if my theory is correct, and that is the augment that we're going to be getting, would be incredibly useful for defection and would be a direct competitor with Oberon. Not that that matters a lot, because defection's not worth playing, but if you wanted another niche use case for Equinox, you would get that out of this augment. So yeah, that is Devstream 104. Let's move on to the Baro stuff. Alright, for the Baro stuff on PC today, we got a single Viper Wraith. I don't know why that is exactly, but it is mastery. It does have that going for it. So if you... I mean, I picked one up because I need the mastery, but under the circumstance where you don't care that much about being at, like, mastery cap, man, that's a huge waste of ducats. Like, for sure. Like, damn. On the flip side, we have the Vulcar Wraith, which is a pretty good sniper. I don't think it's anywhere near the Vectis Prime, personally, but the Vulcar Wraith is absolutely usable, and I know that there are a lot of people that do actually like it more than the Vectis Prime, so go for it, try it. It's a weapon that you'll probably have a decent time with regardless, and if you don't have, like, a sniper that you love for sniper-only sorties and things like that, it's a decent option. Then we have Primed Reach, which is always good. More range on the strongest weapon type in the game, yes please. Primed Morphic Transformer, that's an Arcwing mod, so no one fucking cares, don't waste your time. Primed Cryo Rounds, obviously more damage, and whereas obviously in a lot of builds that I've been showing, you do not fucking need Primed Cryo Rounds to kill things. If you're an overkill junkie, then you're gonna want to get this, and overkill is, in most cases, considered the best kind of kill, so I'm going to recommend it. You should at least have it around for when you want to invest that endo and get that stupid damage. Unfortunately, Bane of Corrupted, not really a good investment no matter how you slice it. Doing missions in the Void against corrupted units is not really a thing we're doing anymore. Like, I've said this before, but in the old Void system, this would be a godsend mod. It'd be so much damage and so useful. But that's just not really the case anymore. But thankfully, to round this out, we have Prime Continuity, which is a fantastic mod. It is a staple on so many Warframes. Like, it's a hefty majority of frames that want to use Prime Continuity, and it is not to be underestimated. Out of all of the mods here, unless you really, really are just constantly always using melee weapons, I might suggest Prime Continuity even over Primed Reach. And then on the second page, obviously we have the Argyle display, which looks quite nice, and the Scimitar Prisma skin, which is also quite nice. But we also have Prisma Shade. So Prisma Shade is not only the best Shade, and Shade is a good companion, it is also 9,000 mastery. So if you're looking for your ducat to mastery ratio, you got this right here. If you don't have that yet, pick that up for mastery. That's a big chunk of mastery for a decent amount of ducats. So just do that. And then, of course, you can pick up the Sentinel accessories if you're really keen on those, and, of course, the Redeemer skin. So that's what we got on PC today, and over on console, we got a bunch of cosmetics, which are fine. It is worth noting the Twin Gurkata Towson skin also gives you that same skin for a single Gurkata, so that's kind of a bundle deal there. Otherwise, we got the Axii 82 Relics, which is going to be your, like, Aklex Prime, if you are keen on those weapons, which are quite good. And then beyond that, you guys got a bunch of stuff down low, which is a bunch of primed mods. And, of course, the Maradetron. The Maradetron, I wouldn't really suggest. I know there are a lot of mag users that sing the praises of this weapon, but there are plenty of weapons you can use if you want to do that thing. And it doesn't have to be the Maradetron, which is a very expensive mastery. Besides that, primed regen, everybody's using Sentinels because, obviously, Vacuum is God. So this makes it so your Vacuum sticks around longer on long missions. Use it on literally every single Sentinel. There's not a single Sentinel that would not appreciate this mod. Then we have almost all of the Banes, which I, again, can't suggest just because, like, the investment to, like, you would need to invest the actual 120k endo that it would require for these 3 factions for you to really get use out of it and be able to swap that across builds. So, fuck, man, 120k endo is a lot of endo. Most people ain't got that. I can't recommend doing that. What I can recommend, however, though, is Primed Fever Strike, because that's strictly more damage on pretty much every single melee weapon that's not purely slash. Which, as it turns out, is a lot of fucking melee weapons. So if you're looking to do that, get that. And also, the Katir Tribute Glyph looks quite nice. So, that is going to do it today for both the Devstream and Baro. Hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you tomorrow. Oh, also, last note. I am going to be streaming tomorrow. I'm going to be streaming Warframe, and there is going to be a Twitch drop associated with that. So if you're not already in the Discord, which is where I put my announcements for when I'm streaming, jump in there. The link is in the description, and come hang out tomorrow.